Hello, I'm Patricia Henderson with Senior Connection Center, and this is your weekly connection. Today's topic is crime prevention. Here to provide more information about how we can keep ourselves safe is Sergeant Kimberly Gunn, crime prevention practitioner from the Highlands County Sheriff's Office. Sergeant Gunn, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Sergeant Gunn, what are the top 3 things to consider in crime prevention?
There's a lot of things that we look for in crime prevention to consider to prevent yourself from becoming a victim. Without getting too philosophical, with different sociological and psychological factors, environmental factors play a huge role. We use a concept called SEPTED, which is crime prevention through environmental design. And simple things like landscaping, territorial reinforcement, such as barriers and fencing, lighting, are factors to consider to, again, help yourself from becoming a victim. Something as simple as actually locking your car door is incredibly key. For example, here in Highlands County, I would say probably 95% of our car burglaries are simply because people do not feel that they need to lock their cars. They feel they live in a safe community. They have great neighbors, and what's the point? Which is, is valid to feel that way. And it's great that you feel that you live in a safe community, especially our 55 and up communities. Well, I know my neighbors and I'm not worried about them. I leave my golf cart with my keys. The problem is that, unfortunately, sometimes we have not so good people that enter those neighborhoods and they're looking for easy targets. So don't make yourself an easy target. If you leave your keys in the ignition of your golf cart, someone may want to take it for a joyride. Another example that we recently had in the last couple of weeks, we had an individual with a really nice sports car. It was a red Jaguar convertible. He pulled up to the post office. It's like, oh, I'm just going to run in and do my business real quick. Left the keys running the ignition. And when he came out, the vehicle was gone. We call them crimes of opportunity for a reason. And sometimes if you're at, the stars align and you're in a position where you maybe let your guard down for a minute, maybe slightly naive that, it's just going to be a second, nothing's going to happen. And the right person comes along and there's an opportunity to take advantage of someone. Unfortunately, that's when crime happens. So, again, we use the SEPTED practice, but help us, help, you all by just, locking your car doors. When it comes to, again, environmental factors, shrubbery, we recommend for trees, for example, the 2 and 6 foot rule. So shrubs should not be higher than 2 feet, and tree canopy. So if you have branches from a tree that are coming down, it should be a 6 foot clearance. And the reason for that is because you should be able to have a clear line of sight. So if you're inside of your residence, you should be able to look through your landscaping and be able to see if someone's in your yard. If your shrubs are overgrown, someone can easily hide behind that. They could ambush you. We do a lot of these security assessment surveys for school campuses, private businesses, because again, they want to make sure that their patrons are safe, but you can still use these same practices at home as well. And that's, what we would recommend. Like I said, you as an individual, as a citizen, looking at your territory, looking at your property, and, trying to figure out ways how you can, minimize that risk, such as checking your lighting at night, locking your doors at night, locking your car doors at night, anything of value. If you have, again, a golf cart, if you're able to at least put it under the curtilage of your home or your carport, lock it up. Bicycles, again, same thing. People, they have kids, maybe they leave their bicycle in the yard. It's not a big deal. But again, if you have a criminal that's wanting to get around and he's wanting to do multiple car burglaries at night and he sees a bicycle, hey, well, I'm going to get around a lot quicker in a bicycle. So by taking away those opportunities, which is what we call crimes of opportunity, by taking away those opportunities, you minimize your risk significantly of becoming a victim.
Those are good tips.
Thank you.
Now, we have seen in the news where many crimes have been solved because of doorbell cameras or on-property cameras. Now, the Highlands County Sheriff's Office has the COP program, cameras on patrol. Can you tell us more about that?
So we have, well, one, we recently partnered with Ring. So Ring, which is through the Neighbors app, allows our citizens to upload videos of suspicious activity in the neighborhood. Very similar to that, we had originally started the program called COP, which is Cameras on Patrol. And basically what that is a database that allows individuals to register with us to let us know, hey, I'm John Smith, I live on 123 ABC Street, and I have 125 cameras. Now, we do get some pushback because a lot of individuals, there's a misconception that we're big brothering, we're watching the cameras, we're tapped in. So a lot of individuals are like, I don't want to register my cameras with the sheriff's office. It's not that you're registering them that we can view them, because we cannot view them. Mm-hmm. All you're simply doing is telling us that this is where I live and I have cameras. So in the event that we have a rash of car burglaries in that particular area, we are able to basically do a neighborhood canvas from our list. We're able to go, okay, let me look at this. We're on ABC Street. I'm showing, based off of our COP program, that we have 2 neighbors on the street that have cameras. So, a great way to obviously, obtain leads and evidence is, let's start with those individuals and let's see if we can have them look at the cameras and tell us if they see anything suspicious. Mm-hmm. So we would go to that person that's registered with us and say, do you mind taking a look at your camera system between 2 and 6 a.m. and see if you see any activity? We will have lots of people that will actually see things on their camera. They'll post things on different, social media platforms like, hey, check out this guy. He was looking in my car, but they don't call the sheriff's office because nothing happened. Well, just because they looked in your car and they didn't do anything to you doesn't mean they didn't go over to your neighbor's house and break into your neighbor's car or your other neighbor's, property. So if we have this individual that's obviously on camera and we can see what they're wearing, we can see their face, and they're looking into your vehicle, and then your neighbors subsequently during that same time frame have had their vehicle burglarized, that's a pretty good lead for us to work off of. And for us to obviously go try to identify this person, ask them, like, what were you doing and why were you here? And again, if they've left any type of DNA evidence, fingerprints, stuff like that, we're going to be able to match some things up. So the cameras on patrol is great. But again, we do get some pushback, but it's basically just allowing us to know where the cameras are at in the county, so that in the event we have crime in that particular community, we can really lean on those individuals to help us solve some of these crimes. And Cameras on Patrol is a very important program, and it's something that we would love to promote and push more. Again, I just think there is this very large misconception of what exactly the program stands for. This is not about government intrusion. We have no access to your camera systems. We're not viewing anything live. It is simply giving us, it's helping us in a sense that, if again, we have crime in the community, there's a violent shooting, or there's even just car burglaries, we just simply want to know who has cameras. And if you could just please take the time to look at those cameras and see if there's anything suspicious or anything that stands out. If you have a camera that is facing the road and there is an individual that's walking by at 2 o'clock in the morning, we want to know that. That, again, could be a potential lead for us. And with the way that our world is going with digital technology, again, we want to try to stay ahead of that curve. Criminals are sophisticated and they're constantly changing and evolving. Scammers are doing the same thing. And we want to make sure that we stay on top of it as well, too, to protect our citizens.
That's important information, and thank you for sharing that. What kind of scams and frauds are you seeing in Highlands County now?
Wow. So we've had a lot of COVID scams, which I know that I touched on in another episode that I had with you a few months prior. We're still having the COVID scams. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are still in need of services. So we have, different groups that are pretending to be part of the CARES Act and how to apply for grants to, get monies for the CARES Act. And we have that here in our county. We did get several $1 million, and we encourage those that need assistance to apply for that assistance here at the county government office through our Board of County Commissioners, not to do anything over the phone, not to give out personal information over the phone. And unfortunately, I think that the people are just in such need right now. And when someone they feel is reaching out to help them, they're taking that lifeline, and really that person's taking advantage of them instead. So please, like we always say, do not give out your social security information. Don't give out your date of birth. Don't give out your driver's license. Don't give out any pedigree information whatsoever that someone would be able to take that and steal your identity. The other scams that we're seeing, we've all heard of the Social Security scam. It is coming back around again. And we have, the Social Security office has suspended your benefits, and you're going to need to verify some things to get it reinstated. And of course, those that live off of Social Security, again, are panicking, and they're calling, and the Social Security is asking, well, what is your Social Security number? And I'll look it up. Well, like I tell people, if the Social Security office is asking you for your Social Security, it's probably not them. So hang up, call your local office directly if you can get a hold of them, or try to go in. But, normally we tell people, if you think that you're part of a scam, give us a call, let us take a look at it, and we'll go from there.
Sergeant Gunn, is there a particular case that you can share with us?
There was a particular case that we had recently that was something that was new to us here in Highlands County. I had a lady that reached out to me she's very active in one of the neighborhood watch groups that I'm involved in. And she explained to me that she had had a phone call, and it was a message on her phone that a civil process server had called and basically told her that he was going to be coming by her house tomorrow between the hours of 1 and 2 to serve her with a subpoena, that she was in debt, she had collections, and they were basically coming after her. He gave her his name and the company he worked for, and hung up the phone and said that he would be there between 1 and 3. She called me in a panic and said, I haven't opened or had a credit card in years. All of my stuff is paid off. I don't understand what monies I could owe. Why would I be served with a subpoena? All these things, that she was obviously in a state of panic. So I said, what was the name of the process server? What was the phone number? And what was the company? So what I did was I had explained to her, I said, here in Highlands County, if somebody is going to try to obtain some sort of debt from you, and they are filing, the civil paperwork, such as a subpoena, through our clerk of courts, it would actually, in fact, be registered through our clerk of courts. So I got the information from her. I reached out to our clerk of courts, who we work hand in hand with, and they told me, listen, we ran her information. There was absolutely zero documentation whatsoever that she had any civil paperwork coming her way. We, as in the sheriff's office, we also serve civil paperwork as well. I got with our civil department. We had nothing on file. I also verified that here at the Highlands County, in Highlands County, we have 118 private civil process servers. So when I gave the name and the company and the phone number, this individual and company and number didn't even exist. So I actually tried to call Mr. James myself, and the number didn't exist. It was an Alabama number. It was disconnected. So I told her, I said, more than likely the next day, what they're going to do is they're not going to show up, but they're actually going to call you. They want to make sure you're home, and they're going to call you during that time frame, and they're going to try to collect monies from you. So you don't have to go to court. We can just go ahead and rectify this over the phone. You pay the $100, and we'll consider you served and done. And that's exactly what happened. The next day he called and said, he was running late in traffic and he couldn't get to her, but if you want to just go ahead and pay it over the phone, we can go ahead and take care of it. And she's like, yeah, I know what you're about. And she hung up the phone, and that was the end of that. I had then reached out to our civil department, the clerk of courts, and they had explained they were starting to see an uptick in that as well, of people pretending to be process servers and serve subpoenas. So just remember, when it comes to scams and frauds, they these scammers, again, they're sophisticated and they are going to use certain tactics like fear tactics that are too good to be true, such as a lottery scam, things of that nature. We had another one recently where one of our sergeants was being impersonated. They were actually using a real sergeant that we have here, and they're saying, "Hi, I'm I'll go ahead and say it. I'm Sergeant Mike Delaney, and you have a warrant for your arrest, and I'm going to come arrest you unless you pay this money." And people that actually knew him and know, he is a real sergeant or real cop with the Highlands County Sheriff's Office, called him directly, started calling the sheriff's office directly, and we were able to put, something out on social media. And we're like, listen, we're never going to call you. We're never going to collect money from you over the phone. On top of that, if you have a warrant, we're not going to call you and tell you, hey, you have a warrant. We're just going to show up. So, don't ever, and like I tell people, if they get a call from a detective where, hey, we're investigating, an incident of fraud, or we're investigating an incident where we think that you're a victim of identity theft, and we want to verify some information with you. Can you verify your social? Can you verify this? Just tell them respectfully, what's your name? What's your badge number? Hang up the phone, call the main sheriff's office line and ask to speak with Detective so-and-so and ask if that's a real extension. And then they'll tell you, we don't have that detective. That's not a real extension, etc. So verify these things, even if you want to cooperate with law enforcement, you think it's law enforcement, still just call our main line and verify that it is in fact us. So unfortunately, another scam that we recently saw, which someone had fallen for, is it's an email scam. So she received an email from her pastor, Pastor Ron, and she legitimately goes to a church. Her pastor is legitimately Pastor Ron. And she got an email that it said at the top of the line, it said Pastor Ron, and it said, hey, we're trying to put some, monies together, like a relief package type thing for those affected with COVID that need assistance. And this was coming up on Christmas. And so if anybody can spare, buying any gift cards or whatnot, we would like to try to get some gift cards together to give out to, our people in our, at our church that need it. So she went out and bought $1,000 worth of various gift cards and said, I got the gift cards. I'm ready. What do you want me to do with them? And he replied, hey, I've been super busy in a meeting. If you don't mind, can you just screenshot them or send me the card numbers and the PIN numbers and we'll take care of it. She says, okay, no problem. So she does all that. And next Sunday, when she goes to church, she says to the pastor, she says, hey, what do you want me to physically do with the cards, the gift cards? And he said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, you wanted me to go get gift cards. I got the gift cards. I sent you the numbers. So what do you want me to physically do with the gift cards? And he looked at her. He's like, I never sent you an email. I don't know what you're talking about. So she pulled it up on her phone and she showed him. It said Pastor Ron up top. But when you click on it, it was like Pastor Ron 1234 at Gmail. And his email's Pastor Ron at 5625 Yahoo. So somebody had created a fictitious email account and was pretending to be her pastor and actually got her for $1,000 worth of gift cards.
Oh, wow.
So like I always tell people, and I've had this in other types of ways as well. If you get an email from someone in your contact list, even if it says it's, it's your sister, it has your sister's name or your husband's name or whatever, if you don't know their email address by heart, which I don't know, I mean, they're in my contact list, so I just click on it and send it. But if somebody in your family or a pastor or relative, anything, is asking for money, specifically gift cards, but they're too busy to talk to you, they're in a meeting or this and that, pick up the phone and call them. If they actually need money, they'll talk to you on the phone. Pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, did you just send me this email? Because I had recently myself too, I had an Indiana state trooper that I communicate with. He sent me an email on my work email and I was reading it and it just seemed off. And it was like, hey, we ran into some financial trouble with COVID. Do you think you could help me and my wife out? And the way that it was written, I'm like, I don't think he would, communicate with me like that. So I picked up the phone and I called him and I said, hey, is everything good? Are you doing all right? Oh, yeah, everything's great. And I explained to him the email that I had. It had his full name. And when you click on it, again, someone had made up this email. So the point that I'm trying to make is I don't know if they have figured out a way to get into our contact list, figure out who we're communicating with. I don't know if it's a virus that's embedded on computers, but you might have to have a computer wiped or something like that if that becomes an issue. But I hate to say, but you're going to have to start verifying the legitimacy of these emails and if they're actually in fact coming from people. So if somebody's asking you again for your personal information, money, and them, pick up the phone and call them and make sure it's really them asking you. I can't emphasize that enough, because this lady unfortunately was out $1,000, and with these different Jamaican scammers and Nigerian scammers, unfortunately, once that money's gone overseas, it's gone, and we can't get that back.
And that's an important concept, is just to pick up the phone and call, whether it's calling the person that sending the email or calling local law enforcement. Now, if someone wants to reach the Highlands County Sheriff's Office, what is the phone number that they should call?
Our non-emergency number is 863-402-7200. If you want to talk to me directly, I help people all the time in regards to these particular type of scams, because sometimes our road patrol guys can get busy. You can call me directly at 863-402-7453. You can also reach us on our social media. Facebook, we get lots of Facebook messages and questions about certain scams, or people just letting us know, and then we'll post it on our Facebook page. We also have our Sheriff's Office app where you can anonymously report things. So there's a lot of different ways that you can reach out to us.
And we will have those phone numbers and other links for you at the end of the video. Sergeant Gunn, with the vaccine rollout for COVID-19, are you concerned about scams?
I am very concerned. I've had a lot of phone calls of individuals that have tried to set up appointments. As we all know, the vaccines are rolling out. There is a very high demand for the vaccines, and we don't know how many vaccines we're going to get each day here in the county. We may get 1,000. But if we have 2,000 or 3,000 that show up in that day, obviously there's going to be several that aren't going to be able to get them. So we are concerned that people are going to start maybe going to different outsourced locations. We're concerned that there's going to be phone calls from groups pretending that they have the vaccine and that they are willing to administer it to you at a reduced price. These vaccines right now, there is no charge. So unless it is one of our emergency management county operated vaccination locations, please do not go, obviously the hospital, if the hospital starts administering them, but please go to a known reputable place. Right now we are having them at Lakeshore Mall, again, through our emergency management operations center. And again, if the hospitals start doing it, then the hospitals clearly are legitimate. But if you see something on social media, Craigslist, anywhere else where, hey, I got my hands on a vaccination, come to this location or this residence or whatever, please do not do that. We have no idea what they would be administering. So we definitely don't want you doing that. And furthermore, if you start to get phone calls of, hey, I see that you had a vaccine done, you're going to owe monies and we're going to need to take that payment. Do not pay anything over the phone. Again, there is no charge. So please don't pay anything for any vaccinations that you may have received.
That's good information. Always check with a reputable organization. And if you have any questions, please contact your local law enforcement and contact the Highlands County Sheriff's Office, or if you are in another county, contact the Sheriff's Department. If you have questions about vaccines, contact the emergency management or health department, but please make sure to keep yourself safe. Sergeant Gunn, thank you for providing us with such great information today.
Thank you for having me, and everybody stay safe and be well.
I'm Patricia Henderson, and this is your Weekly Connection.